I've been dreaming about this trip for the past several months. I say dreaming because I didn't actually believe it would become a reality. I couldn't fathom returning to a country that was at war, but here I was, boarding a train that would first take me to the city of Chełm, a city in eastern Poland near the Ukrainian border. From there, I would transfer over to a Ukrainian night train, on which I would ride into the night, crossing into Ukrainian territory, a country where anything can happen. And there's the train. It looks like it's freshly painted, which is nice. And that's my wagon right there. Alright, let the journey begin. That's where we at. This is a coupe. 4 people here. Me on top with another guy here, and then 2 people on the bottom. That's kind of what it looks like. Well, it's 7:30 a.m. and I just arrived back to Ukraine, back to Kyiv. It was a cloudy and gloomy day as I arrived at Kyiv's main railway terminal. Moments later, I walked out and stood at the exact same spot exactly 6 months ago. Marina and I were scrambling to leave after our country was invaded. It was an absolute surreal feeling that no words can do justice. And I'm back to a place where I was 6 months ago, leaving this country. Now I'm back here, the same vokzal. Crazy. Very, very cloudy day today, kind of gloomy. Interesting. After soaking up the environment, I grabbed my phone and hailed an Uber to take me home. As I rode to my apartment, I looked out the window at the city around me. Although I had taken this ride countless times before, this time was different. It was as though the city was trying to tell me something sad and desperate. Well, I'm home, so to speak. Man. That's so crazy. Back home after 6 months. I don't know, like... well, everything is how I remembered it. Oh man. Crazy. Just crazy. So it's funny, the last time I weighed myself was February 17 and I was 89.7 kilograms. Let's see how much I weigh now. 92. 91.9. Not a big difference at all. You know, sometimes you forget the little details, but you remember the big picture. And in this apartment, there's a lot of little details that we worked on after we purchased it. We did a lot of things here. We fixed a lot of little things, and now I'm just walking around. I'm starting to remember, like, okay, we bought this furniture, we bought that furniture, we fixed that. Curtains, we installed that. You know, something didn't work. We had to call another guy. There was a lot of things that kind of went in there. Even though the apartment that we bought, it already had really decent remodeling, at least for Ukrainian standards. We still had to do a lot of things to make it a lot more comfortable. And now I'm just kind of remembering these little things. And it's crazy, like, you do all that, and then you have to leave, you know? And yeah, I know a lot of other people have had it worse, right? A lot of other people don't have homes to come back to, and I understand that. But it's still crazy just kind of walking around and seeing, okay, remembering the times that we fixed that curtain, or we fixed the wall, or we bought this chair, we bought that. And it wasn't just like buying it. There was like a process that went in there. It was like delaying and deciding what to buy, what to do. It was life. It was life. The first day I stayed local, carefully surveying my neighborhood, checking which stores were still open, visiting a nearby TV antenna tower that was hit in the first few days of the conflict, and then paying a visit to my gym that also bore the brunt of the attack. Just in case that wasn't clear. Look at all of that. Look at all of this. Look at this. So 6 months ago, we were at this bus stop trying to catch a cab to the train station to leave Ukraine. Right here. We were standing right here. And it was all empty. There was nobody here. It was completely empty. We couldn't catch any cabs at all. Nobody would stop until I had to increase the price to the maximum. So we paid something like 1,000 hryvnia, which was around $30, to get to the Vokzal, which is the railway station. It was the maximum that I could pay. I basically bid up the price, and finally somebody stopped, and we ended up taking a girl that was waiting. She was going to another part of Ukraine. Now compare that with what I paid to get today from the railway station to this area. It was like $2, $2.50 or something like that. So we had to leave, and $30 was a small price to pay to do so. Now this area in particular does not have many like military objects, military targets, but one thing that when the invasion started, they hit this this tower here, this TV radio tower, and they hit it. They have like a station over there, like a control station or whatever, so that was hit. And actually my gym is down there, and I'm gonna show it to you later, and it knocked the windows out of my gym. So there's the TV radio tower, and there's the building that might have been hit in the first few days of the war. That could be the building. And up ahead is the gym that I used to go to when I lived here. And one of the explosions was so strong that the windows became broken. It broke the windows, it just popped. And they had to fix some stuff inside. It wasn't too bad. I think they repaired it fairly quickly. So check this out. This wasn't there before. Check out across the street. That was definitely not there before. Take a look at that. That whole building is destroyed. Look at this. Look at the damage here. They had a gym equipment store, sports equipment store. Look at this. Insane. I thought they would have at least, I didn't realize it was that bad. I thought they would have at least fixed it up a little bit. And there's my gym at the end. It's the only business that's open. Take a look at this. Insane, huh? Wow. Crazy. And that was from the hit on the other side of the street. Well, workout complete. I'm glad the gym remained in that building. Pretty crazy. Now this right here looks like an awesome kiosk. Really great fruits and vegetables. Really convenient because you can just get it, you know, coming from work or wherever. And looks like it's no longer here. Looks like this is for rent now. I wonder what happened. Really good one. Sad to lose it. The second day I ventured into the center, exploring the areas where I once lived and trying to get a better pulse on the city. What I witnessed certainly wasn't what I expected in a million years. But today we are in the center. We're gonna be exploring what the situation like in the center, as well as looking at some of my favorite parts of the city, especially where I've lived, where Marina and I have lived before, to see what they're like, to reminisce a little bit. So the next street over is Krishchatik. That's one of the main streets, and we actually used to live right there. I think on the third floor over there in this building for a while now. And so as you can see, there's lots of people here. It's a Sunday, so you would kind of expect on Sundays in the summer there's lots of people in the center, lots of tourists and stuff like that. And so as you can see, it's fairly crowded, especially as you head over that way. Now this right here is Pushkinskaya, and I think they were supposed to rename the street because Pushkin is a Russian poet. So they were going to rename the street to Европейская, but looks like they haven't done so yet. And this right here is probably one of my favorite streets in the city. It's one of the nicest streets in the city, for sure. I know in Warsaw almost all the streets look like this, but in Ukraine, especially in Kyiv, and really in Ukraine, this street is special. It was redone a couple of years ago because it didn't used to look like this, and so this is definitely one of my favorite streets here in Kyiv, because it's actually a nice street. It's a walkable street. They removed the cars from the sidewalks, as it's very popular for cars to park, and as a result you have a fairly nice street that you can walk and you can enjoy life, and this is a rarity here in Ukraine. They even have a bike lane here, which is not very common. It's only like a few areas that have them. And then over there you have nice coffee shops, nice cafes that are awesome in the summer. As you can see, you got sidewalks. You can eat on sidewalks, some good stuff over there. You got prices for haircuts. 400 hryvnia is like around $10, okay? Which is fairly cheap, even by Ukrainian standards. I think in some other places it's a little bit more expensive. So $10 for a haircut is not bad at all. And I cannot tell you how much time of my life here in Kyiv I spent on the street, either walking that way, walking this way, hanging out, eating here. This is one of my favorite streets in Kyiv by far. Now over there across the street we got a Russian drama theater. Basically that is the place you go to hear a Russian performance. I'm not sure if they did something to it or they were gonna do something to it because it's in Russian and Ukraine needs to be only in Ukrainian. I'm not really sure. Maybe they've done something, maybe not. I'll have to look it up, but that's a nice place to hear some plays, performances. Me and Marina, we went there a few times. It was awesome because we used to live also across the street over there, and so it was always close by. And now we are heading towards Krishchatik, which is this main street here in Kyiv, big wide street. Very famous, very well known. And as you can see, it's tons of people. Not uncommon for a Sunday, not uncommon at all. And so I wouldn't say it's less people. Since last time I was here, it's pretty much the same. Sundays around this area, lots of people. A lot of people from out of town come here. And then on the other side you have tons of people as well. So that is pretty standard. Maybe even a little bit more than usual. Than kind of what I remember. One of the reasons there's so many people, I mean, look at this. Insane, is because of this exposition of what looks to be like Russian tanks, Russian armored gear over here, all burned out. So let's check that out. So look at that, there's a tank, there's something else. Look at this. I think I've seen that in Warsaw. They had two in the old town on the main square, but last time I was there, they were removed. And so here you have a couple of tanks here. There you go, sharp edges.
So there you have a very nice family-friendly activity for kids and adults. Look at this. They got this is a tiger probably, what looks to be armored vehicle. And look how many they got. They got a ton. There's another tiger. And look at this. Look at that. There's like 2 rows of these here. And then you got these BTRs, which are armored carriers, armored personnel carriers. Look at that. Look at this. You have a open air museum over here. Open air exhibition. There you are. Look at these tanks right here. And there's another. This is artillery. This is an artillery right here. This is for like long range. Another artillery. And you got something here. Or yeah, this is a tank that was blown up. You got another BTR. There you go. Another tank over there. This is insane. How far is this? That goes pretty far. Look at this. You got another BTR. And you got that over here. You got something else over there, remains of something else, another BTR. So they got a lot of these. And it looks like it's stretching until the end of this, until the end of Krishchatik over there. Here you got another one with the V symbol, which is what they were using, or still using, to identify them. And you got a BTR that's in better condition here than the other ones. Check this out. There you got a BTR. Wow, look at this. Insane. Here you got an airborne combat vehicle. It's an open air museum. Here you got another battle tank here. And that right there, that thing is a flamethrower machine. It's called Солнцепёк. It's a flamethrower machine. Obliterates like a shitload of space. Look at that. Shoots these rockets that engulf the air around them. This thing. Look at that. They even have names of cities. Look at that. This is insane. This is insane. I think only Russia has something like this. This thing is very crazy. We got more BTRs, artillery, and that is where it ends. Right here, this is the square, Maidan Nezalezhnosti, or Independence Square. All right, so it ends right here and it goes all the way, I don't know, God knows where. I think maybe even before I started. And this is the square. Lots of people. This is a lot more than it usually is, obviously. Insanely gorgeous day today. So here's a little place that we used to come here a lot. This is a great place. It's outdoors. And in fact, I think I'm gonna have my brunch here. Check it out. Right here.
Человек, да, можно, пожалуйста, бургер Диабло. А он там с этим сладким, сладкие булочки или обычные?
Сладковатая, да.
Сладкие, а можно с нормальной булочкой?
Но она пшеничная неплохая, она такая большая, пушистая, она не сильно сладкая.
Ну,
Думаю,
отлично.
вам понравится.
Хорошо, да, давайте этот. И, ну, водичка.
Водички хватит?
Да, я думаю, да, 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 спасибо. Или лимонадик какой-то, лимонадик.
Классический имбирный есть.
Классический давайте, да. Ага.
And the burger has arrived. Look at this. It's a little different than what it was before. But looking good. Bon appetit to everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Here's the bill, 335 hryvnia for lemonade and burger, which is exactly $9.10, or 43 zloty, or 9 euros and 7 cents. And so for burger and lemonade, I wouldn't say it's super cheap, $9. It's probably about the same as it was before the war. And the thing about the currency here is that it used to be around 25, 27, 26 to a dollar before. Now it's 37 to a dollar or 40, depending on how you exchange it. But as a result, prices went up, you have inflation, and I honestly have not really noticed a huge difference in terms of how it was before to how it is now. It's pretty much the same thing. Marina and I used to live inside that driveway in one of those buildings inside, and so we could just walk out and be on this beautiful street, Pushkinskaya, have everything nearby. A very convenient location. So many memories in this area, it's insane. So many times I walked past these streets in the depth of winter, in the peaks of summer. It's crazy. Like, this is insane. Just walking here again. It's pretty interesting. That's a great pita / hummus place over there across the street. When we used to live nearby, we used to come here all the time. It was our favorite place for a while, and it still kind of is. It's a great place if you're into kind of Israeli food, pita, hummus, things like that. Great place. And this right here is the square of Lvov Tolstoy, which is a very, very famous Russian writer. He wrote books such as War and Peace, and I believe they are either planning or they have already decided to change this and rename it into the Azov, which is a battalion, a Ukrainian battalion. So they want to rename it, or maybe they've already renamed it, into the Azov Square, or Square of Azov. And so as you can see, Kyiv is definitely not empty. I would say this is more or less normal, maybe a little bit more than it usually is on a Sunday, but definitely not less. There are tons of people everywhere you go. And here we are entering a park that I really like. Spent a lot of time here. Really love this park. Small, very, very small, relatively speaking, but great park. Lots of good vibes here. Great time to spend here, especially in the summer. Really awesome. Spent lots and lots of time here when I was living here. Marina as well. Me and Marina have a lot of great memories here. And down there is was protected, a statue of Tarasa Shevchenko, which is a kind of like the biggest Ukrainian, cultural figure, right? And it's all blocked off by sandbags and whatnot. It looks very different than how it was before, I'll tell you that. And I think being in this park is a good spot as any to talk about some of the things, some of the questions I had. And obviously I had no idea how it's gonna be. I don't talk to anybody in Kyiv. I heard, it's kind of getting back to normal and all that. I heard it's, fairly stable, fairly safe, but I had no idea what to expect. And one of the things that I was asking myself for the past several months is how it would feel to come back here and stand here in Kyiv, stand in the same city that we left almost 6 months ago. It's like almost exactly 6 months ago, give or take a couple of days, on that winter day in late February when we just left, because it was completely abandoned, it was empty. And I wanted to know what would it feel to be here. And honestly, I don't know. It feels different than I expected it to be. I thought it's gonna be empty or desolate, and for the most part, it feels fairly normal, right? It feels fairly normal. I suppose as normal as it could potentially feel. A lot of people have left, millions and millions, but here in Kyiv, it doesn't really feel like a lot of people have left. Maybe there's less overall, maybe they're mostly concentrated in the center, but it feels a lot more normal than I would have expected it to feel. Everybody's asking me, are there a lot of people? Are there a lot of people? Yeah, it's fairly normal, and I still don't know how I feel. It feels so weird. It's like in some alternate reality. You leave a city because it seems like it's about to get taken over, and then that doesn't work. It's not taken over. It's defended. It's beaten back, and now you're back here. But yes, the war is not over. It's still happening in other parts of the country. But life here is fairly stable, fairly normal. It's hard to believe. It still feels like I'm in some alternate reality. Like the past 6 months, like it has been longer. Like it's been the past 6 years. And so here I am, 6 months, and for the most part, it's as normal as it can be. And here you have kind of an interesting view of kind of the grandness of the city. It is an amazing city, Kyiv, because right there we have the main opera theater, opera and ballet theater, and all around them is these beautiful buildings here, over there. And I've been to that theater several times, had a good time there, really enjoyed my time there, and it's moments like this that make Kyiv really, really special. Just this grandness of it with the cobblestone streets. Unfortunately, a very common sight here in Kyiv is a lot of unfinished buildings. Like they just started working on this building, so you're gonna be looking at this thing. You're gonna be walking across whatever that thing is called for the next several years. You also have that building, which pretty much has been like this as long as I can remember. So you have that thing over there, all of this. You have the same thing on that building over there, same situation over there. So you're constantly walking. Like they had a really nice sidewalk here, very wide, and now you're walking under this thing here. And that's very, very common. That's very, very common. But it's surprising to me that you would have these unfinished buildings and building leftovers in the capital of the biggest European country. Really, that is insane. I have never seen that in any other big European capital, but that is a fact of life, and not just here, in other streets as well. It's just a pain. You're just looking at this all the time, and you're going to be looking at this for a very long time.
I spent my last day wandering around one of the oldest and most scenic neighborhoods in Kyiv, Podol. It's a neighborhood famous for its historical buildings, street cafes, and an alternative scene.
Today I'm here in the center, and I'm walking towards the famous street called Andreevsky Spusk. It's a street that leads downward, and you can eventually end up in the really cool neighborhood of Kyiv called Podol. So we're gonna go and check it out, what has happened there. I actually lived in this neighborhood back in 2015, 2016. This is a really, really awesome neighborhood, right in the center, kind of close to everything, beautiful, kind of all the buildings, little coffee shops, stuff like that. Very historic neighborhood.
Самое безопасное место это возле лавры.
So that lady just now said in Russian that the safest place is near a church. So people are concerned for their safety. And here's the infamous Andreevsky Spusk. They actually used to have a tank, I think around here, but I guess all those tanks have been moved to Krishchatyk, and here they typically have cellars, stuff like that, selling. They don't really have that many today, and in fact the city is kind of empty today. It was fairly bustling the last couple of days. Today it feels like a Sunday, but it's a Tuesday and it's fairly quiet. Actually, the taxi driver I was just riding and he also told me that. And I told him that there's footage a couple of days ago or a day ago of just cars leaving Kyiv and going somewhere else, because tomorrow is the Independence Day in Ukraine here, August 24th. And they think there's going to be some provocations on that day, and so people are getting worried. And in fact, just like maybe 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, I read the news and the US Embassy is recommending all Americans to leave Kyiv. It's a serious, they're saying. They are recommending all Americans to leave Kyiv. And actually, I am leaving tonight. This is my last day here. This road right here, it kind of weaves in and out, and it leads to the neighborhood of Podol. And like I said, I used to live at the top of the hill, and I used to train jiu-jitsu at the bottom of the hill. So I would go like every day, and I would go up and down this hill. And you know, also in the winter months, it was a lot of fun. It freezes over, and as a result, it's a lot of fun to be climbing this thing, or actually even going down this as well. So definitely a lot of memories from this area. Ukrainian parking. So it's fairly empty for a Tuesday, I can tell you that. Usually there are more people. And now we are here in Podol. This is the beginning of Podol. It's a fairly big neighborhood. It's a very old neighborhood. There are really two parts to Podol. This is the first part. I think it's called Nizhny Val, which means lower Podol. And then there's another part, which is the upper Podol. And they have a Ferris wheel over there. They put outdoor seatings. This wasn't there before. They actually put a toilet over there, public toilet. That wasn't there before, I know for a fact. So that's really nice. And they got Puzata Hata over there, which is a chain of kind of Ukrainian food, regular food, somewhere between McDonald's and like a regular restaurant. This is like a main street right here in this part of Podol. It used to be passable by cars. They made it pedestrian only. They got a lot of restaurants on this side. It gets fairly crowded on weekends, sometimes even weeknights as well. There's the official welcome sign. I love Podol, which is the Ukrainian name. Another boarded up monument, just like one of many here in Kyiv. Here you have an exhibition to the army. One question I have about Ukraine that I can't seem to figure it out. Maybe somebody can help me. How is it after 30 plus years of independence, of Ukraine making its own money, we still have in Kyiv, in the capital, these old ancient trams? How is that possible? This is a question I have. How is this possible? 30 years of paying taxes, of having a GDP, of earning money, we still have these old raggedy trams. I don't get it. But obviously not everyone needs to ride that old raggedy tram. There are of course other means of transportation that are, should I say, a little bit better, just a little bit. And by walking away from that part, we are entering another part of Podol, which is kind of a self-contained neighborhood. A little bit different, but very, very similar. Lots of nice places to eat, lots of cool restaurants on that side as well. Here's another tram, an even nicer one. I mean, look at it. It's almost ready to fall apart. This one looks nicer, right? This right here is the other part of Podol. And typically when you are meeting somebody in Podol or you're going to Podol, you're typically going to be specifying which of these areas you are going to be going to, because they're kind of relatively far from each other, especially if you're meeting somebody, and not coming to the right area means you're going to be wasting like 15-20 minutes walking from one part to another. So this is also a nice part of Podol. A lot of old buildings, nice coffee shops here on the streets, lots of great restaurants here, lots of memories. Here you got another exhibition here. Marki, which means stamps. You got a stamp. You got more stamps here. All of these stamps. And this is supported by NED, which is, I believe, an American organization. You got stamps over here, murals. You got basically against the occupants, right? It says "Be occupanta," which means hit the occupant. All of the stuff here. And then you have more murals. You got stuff here. And then you have music. Music of this age. I thought I knew what bravery was, and then I saw Ukraine. There you go. For lunch, we are having a pastrami sandwich and a little bottle of compote. And this costs us 260 hryvnia, which is $7, 703 euros, or 33.50 Polish zloty. So the taxi driver that drove me here, he was telling me that in the past couple of days he was getting a lot of orders for people to take him to the Vokzal. So again, right now there's a kind of a panicky situation, more or less, with the US embassy. Everybody's saying that something big might happen in the next couple of days. So interesting times. And then there's the last and most pressing question. The question that's on everybody's mind, including mine. Is returning to Ukraine permanently a viable option? After all, Kyiv felt as normal as a city could be. People seemed to be enjoying themselves and living normal lives. The city looked as gorgeous as ever. Plus, there is something incredible about being in a place where you're not a foreigner, a place where you feel as comfortable as anyone. Speaking your native language everywhere is a luxury I rarely experience anymore. As a long-term expat, it's a feeling that few words can truly describe. But, as I learned after many years of living in Ukraine, appearances can be deceiving. While Kyiv is certainly a charming city that I adore, Ukraine as a country has stagnated over the years as a result of massive corruption and theft, which has been the norm decades before the current conflict. Furthermore, living there means giving up a certain standard of living that I used to have not only in the US where I grew up, but even here in Warsaw, where I'm now based. And it's my last 6 months living in Poland that truly opened my eyes as to how behind Ukraine really is. Last, but certainly not least, let's not forget the obvious. You really do need a good reason to move back to a country that's currently engaged in a war. A country where your security can abruptly change from one day to the next.
землі Тараса проживала мати, всій землі окраса.